you ever realize that you start your countdown and realize you never uploaded your intro? Have you ever done that before? I have, and I just did it again. So let's just pretend, although you can see and hear me right now, let's just pretend you can't. And I'm desperately hoping that my intro will freaking load faster than it's loading right now. So, hey, everybody, how you doing? My name is Aaron. I draw pictures for a living. Judas freaking Priest. What is taking this thing so long to download? You know, there it is. So I was never here. Just forget you ever saw me. Let's try this again.
You're old, groaning like a geezer.
Now, I have to admit that I have never seen any. Well, I saw part of the Stallone Judge Dredd movie. I just thought it was ridiculous. But that was the one with Carl Urban, and I always thought he looked really good as Judge Dredd, but I never actually watched. I've seen a few clips and I've seen scenes and stuff, but I never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. So I guess we'll find out if maybe I should be doing that moving forward, because today we are drawing Judge Dredd, or perhaps characters from the Judge Dredd universe. So there's quite a few possibilities today that we're going to be exploring, but I'm not going to be exploring them alone. Let me bring in my co-hosts. We're going to bring him in early this time. He's old but wise. It's Gary Martin. Hello, Gary. All right, it's Coach Martin. Yes, sir, Coach Martin. You kids run some more lines. Didn't you just
get going?
Now, I know you were a basketball player, and so were I. So was I. The thing I hated the most was running lines. Admittedly, I was never in shape like I should have been because I hated running. Didn't mind
We
playing.
had this thing that the coach loved to do called animal drill, where you get 3 guys under the basket and give them 2 basketballs, and you have to score 3 baskets before you can rotate out, and there are no rules.
So you just like mug each other and
exactly. I mean, that's what it was. It was a mugging drill, and it's supposed to, toughen us up, but I don't think it worked because nobody liked doing it. But we did it every week. We did that.
Here's a guy who claims he likes doing it. It's Dan Lawless. Hey, Dan.
Whoa, wait a minute. Back up here. What did you just say?
Aaron is the master of this.
I'm not denying that.
I just, I got looking for a segue. I'm always looking for a segue.
Okay, enough of this tall guy talk anyways. Enough for some short guys. The basketball players, you guys.
It seems like a lifetime ago, I can tell you that. Here's a guy who's hopefully back from, I think he went out to to hit the buffet before coming in. It's one of our co-hosts, the man who's never short on a fine dining dish during the show. It's David Williams. There you are. So are you back among us?
Yeah, yes, back from the buffet.
Yeah.
I got to have you guys in the right order on the screen, or it drives me nuts, because this is like what I'm used to seeing. And if like David's down here and Gary's up there, it's like I can't handle it.
We're left wing and they're right wing.
What's that?
I was promoted and demoted within like 1 minute.
Yep.
I said, Aaron, we're left wing and they're right wing.
That's right. Well, wait a minute. No, I'm just that's how you know I'm conservative. I mean, ultra conservatives, because I do not like change in any way, shape, or form, and I can't handle it. It's like this is the order that everybody's always in, and it's not. It's not.
I think the artist thing is a sort of OCD too. Like when something's not, if a picture is crooked on the wall, drive me nuts.
Yep, me too.
I think out of the four of us, I think probably Brohawk is the most conservative.
Yeah,
it could be. Could be, but. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not conservative at all. Maybe it's just OCD, right? It's just like, don't move anything, don't change anything.
I think it's safe to say we're all pretty conservative, though.
Oh, I think so. Okay. So let's visit with the chat a little bit here and get the show on the road. I was off to a rather unauspicious start, so. Corum is here. Graybeards are the law. Can't wait to see what amazing creation you guys come up with. That we feel the same way every episode. It's like I just can't wait to see what I might.
That is a good point. Yeah.
Creative Faye, this will be fun. She always says that. Is it fun though? I hope so.
Oh, by the way, she sent me another cartoon that we can share later.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm not sure if I've ever been fun.
Well, Dan, we're trying to get you there. Hold your hand and get you to the state in life where you can say, I'm actually a fun person. I'm having fun right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm having fun. I don't know.
When you have to tell someone that you're having fun, are you really?
Are you trying to convince them? Right. Listen, trust me, you're having fun right now. Better have some
fun right now.
Sven Svensson, all the way from one of the skiing countries, says Mike McMahon. Is that how you pronounce that? McCann? How do you pronounce that? Mike McCann made Dredd, most underrated comic book artist in history. I like his stuff, but I'm not. How would you pronounce that? McMahon, or just Mike McMahon?
I don't know.
He was the guy that wasn't there a Spanish guy too, like somebody Escrivera or something like that drew Dredd that had really kind of a very rough.
Yeah, kind of funky.
Cam Kennedy, maybe, or what was that guy's name?
No, it wasn't Cam Kennedy. There's a lot of guys that drew him, but there was.
Wasn't Mike the first? Savan, help us out here. Wasn't he the first Judge Dredd artist?
Mike McMahon or Mike?
Yeah. Was a guy named Murphy too? I forgot what.
I didn't discover Judge Dredd till I saw Boland's work on it.
Right, me too.
Yeah, that's when as a matter of fact, I want to share the screen. Hang on a second with my. I don't know if you guys remember this one. One of my favorite covers of all time. Not let alone Judge Dredd. I love this cover.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it. That's a great Boland cover right there.
Yeah, it's diminished with the color.
Well, yeah, I remember I bought this off the shelf. I mean, what is it, 35 years ago or something like that or more?
Yeah.
And I just
black and white.
This was just so cool. I couldn't believe it. Like I just thought that in black and white it's probably impressive as well, for sure.
Yeah, way more impressive.
It was so creative. There's nothing like it. I mean, here's this. Obviously the Judge Dredd is this motif of the big monsters who's just got a normal personality. Like, nah, haven't seen him. That was a Judge Dredd kind of thing that I think they ushered in. Some of that stuff you see now in Marvels with like the Endgame, where they had that tough guy in Thor's world where he was this big giant rock guy, but he like talked like a normal. Hey, how's it going? And this is when it happened. This is where this stuff all started. This is when it the comics were being so creative and so unusual. And I just, man, and it's just of course the art is just spectacular. But
that was the thing that kind of attracted me to Judge Dredd too. Obviously the artwork, but then I just got this the sort of nonsensical, whimsical but dark sort of weird humor that was involved in it. It was like I wasn't sure what to make of it when I first saw it. It's like because it looks like really really deadly serious, but then it's like
there's a lot of goofy stuff.
Yeah, some weird goofy off the wall kind of stuff.
like a nightmare
Irreverent.
apocalypse, kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But so much so that it's funny because in their world they think it's normal,
Yep.
like
Yep.
oh, you just killed somebody because they stepped on your shoe. That's normal,
Well, anyway, JB Stylor is here. Mark Pengren is joining us. John, without an H, is joining us. Repairman Jack, Pastmaster Dan, Spambot, Wesley Gleason, Randy Howell, all the way from Canada, is joining us. Will Hurricane Francine force Kelsey out of hiding? Randy wants to know. Only time will tell. Dan, the Pizza Man Genovese, is joining us. Well-read comics. What's the word on the great Kelsino? We have no word. No one has heard from him for at least 2 months. And, we haven't heard anything. So we're hoping that he's fine and just sequestered himself someplace to do tons of work or something. But we have no updates at all on Portal.
Yeah, I get the feeling Kelsey, when he works, cannot be distracted from anything. I feel like he's a focused kind of an artist,
Yeah,
I think this kind of stuff distracts him, and it can be distracting,
That's right.
Yeah,
We're distracting ourselves right now.
I'm like that when I eat.
Turn that TV off. I'm concentrating on my food
That's right.
now.
No phone calls, no conversation. Gary's eating.
That's the way I am when I sleep. I know that.
Yeah, I know. I don't want anybody bugging me while I'm sleeping. I need total sleep concentration. Stealth X5 is here. Bibliobob is here. At last, a comic I bought as a child. He says he's looking forward to this. Now, of course, Bibliobob is a Brit, so he probably had great access to this stuff, in 2000 AD and all that kind of stuff growing up. Let's see. Birdman Burr is here. Ronan says, if Dan Lawless is Joan Rivers, we're going to need some plastic surgery jokes here and there from him. Okay. There you go, Dan. They just put it on your shoulders.
I don't need plastic surgery. I'm already beautiful.
There you go. See? Lone Star Viper is here.
Dan's all, my tits are perfect.
Yeah, leave it to David to take it next level.
I need a man's ear or a bro.
Look at this now. Come on, work. Major Corn Dogs is greetings from Taipei.
Really?
About that.
Wow. They have corn dogs in Taipei?
Yeah. I wonder if they're like spicy.
He didn't finish the sentence. It was type A diabetes.
Greedy.
You shouldn't be laughing at
Type A
that.
diabetes.
Matthew Mumma is here. Ronan, that's Gary's beef. Citizen Ronan says, now this is of course when I actually did realize I had not downloaded the intro for today's show, and so I was just sitting there going, just pretend I'm not here. And he says, I pretend I can't hear and see you all the time. Wow,
There we go.
I don't pretend. I really can't.
Sorry, Dan, didn't mean to cut you off, but
Thank you.
I don't pretend. I actually can't hear you.
that's just old age, though. Okay, Citizen Ronan's first with a cannonball. Joe Bernardo is here. How about that? Aaron, you need to draw Judge Hershey from the Judge Dredd movie. Repairman, Wesley Gleason, Spaceman, Judas freaking Priest. I love it. I think he's mocking my intro again. Let's see. Anybody else? Robert Dones Pills is joining us. Jim Alaska. I wonder if Jim Alaska is from Alaska. Or maybe he eats baked Alaska. Have you ever had baked Alaska? You guys heard of that, right?
Yeah, I've never had it.
I don't even know what it is, though, but I've heard it.
It's a cake,
Usually
right?
like Western names, like Dakota Sam and
No, baked Alaska is a dish. It's like
No, I'm talking about Jim.
It's like a cake.
Oh, Jim Alaska.
Jim Alaska doesn't sound like a tough guy. He sounds like somebody fun that you want to hang out with.
Yeah, Jim Alaska. Let's go have beers with Jim Alaska. That guy. Captain
I
Pitt.
had baked Alaska when I was younger, and it was pretty good. Kind of a whipped
What was
cream
it?
type.
Do you remember?
I remember kind of like a whipped cream, almost like cake. Of some kind.
What?
If I remember right.
I got a look.
And it is
you
baked.
Remember the whipped cream? Okay.
It's a new name for whipped cream. I'll have a little baked.
Well, it's kind of like
Alaska
it's that kind of a substance to it. It's kind of
Puddingy.
but it's got it gets a little brown on the edges and stuff. It's pretty cool, pretty good,
a little
if I
brown.
remember right.
You mean
Brown,
like, so you light it on
brown whipped cream.
Is this something you light on fire maybe then to kind of caramelize the edges or?
Yeah, Pastmaster says it's cake with ice cream ish.
Ish, yeah.
People are chastising me for not seeing any of the Dredd movies. Rage of the Illusion is here. Best Age Comics. Well-read comics. A lot of comics. Henry Bemis all the way from Oregon. Toshiro is joining us. Let's see who else we got here. Dale A is joining us. And then how about this? Stealth X5 for $2 says, hello. Thank you, Stealth.
Hello.
We're waiting for that moment.
Yeah, the show can't move forward until we see that.
Jim Alaska says, when it comes to drawing Judge Dredd, Gary wins. Wow. Look at that. That's some confidence right there.
I don't know about drawing him, but aping Boland, maybe.
That's right. Gary's an expert at aping Boland.
Gary, have you ever been asked to recreate this Judge Dredd image?
Not this one. I've done several Judge Dredd covers, but not this one.
Would you be up to tackling that?
I would if the price was right.
It's the price. It's always about the price. Randy Howell for $2 Canadian says, anyone going to draw Judge Death? We will find out shortly. Let's see. Eric Boyd is here. Get with the times. What those times are, I have no idea. He says Chris Maycock is here. Gen X Catholic. Mike TV Dub. Henry Throon. Hail Graybeard's listening while driving to Costco. Costco. I used to go there a lot, but then it's like I got tired of spending like $400 every time I went in there. So
I would go there just for the hot dog. You could get like
just for food samples, you mean?
No. At their food court, you could get like a massive hot dog and a beverage for $1.50.
That's true. They do have. I've never eaten there, but I see that all the time. They've got like this little, like you said, that food court area where people are just.
Pizza's not bad, but their hot dog is worth the trip.
Okay, all right.
I ended up buying stuff I didn't need when I was there. That's what I hated about just like
right, and in large quantities usually.
I bought a croquet set. I didn't need a croquet set, but I bought one.
Yeah, that's the.
I need 6 jugs of mayonnaise.
Yeah, right.
There it is, Carlos Ezequiera. That's who I was trying to think of. The artist that drew Judge Dredd. Excuse me. Let's see. Aaron
Actually, I use my croquet set for bocce ball now. I use the balls in it.
Bocce ball, you're getting up there if you're playing bocce ball.
I played it just this past weekend, actually.
That's not a young man's game. Well, that's much fun.
I don't even know what it is. Far Dog says McMahon because it is the same spelling as Vince of WWE infamy. Okay.
I married into the Italian group of people, so it's rather prominent there.
Let's see. There's Art of Roy is here.
I ruined my parents' croquet set. I made Thor's hammer out of one of the mallets, but I had to saw off the handle to accomplish it.
Hulk Smash is here. He says Kelsey is our Don Draper. Wasn't Don Draper a pitcher? Am I thinking of somebody else?
Don Draper. Who was that?
I thought he was a pitcher.
Madman.
Oh, Madman? Okay.
Yeah.
I think wasn't there a Don Draper who was a pitcher for like the Dodgers or somebody? I don't know. Okay, well, let's see. We're just blah blah blah. The Druid's Druid is here. He's he's not just a druid. He's the Druid's Druid. Ellie New Dungeoneer is here. Catalyst's Vault. Okay, wait a minute here now. Bake a pie crust, bottom fill with ice cream. Put on top a pie layer. Bake till the top is golden brown. That's Baked Alaska. There it is.
Yeah.
So you take pie crust, fill it with ice cream, and put another layer on it, and cook it till. So you're basically making an ice cream pie.
Doesn't the ice cream melt?
Yeah, it would have to melt, but then maybe it coagulates and becomes more like, like a whipped cream or a pudding type thing. That's very strange. What would that? Now I want to do it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it
actually
sounds
pretty good.
interesting. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, there's got to be an easy recipe for it, right? Iodine 74 is here. Let's see. I think there's Angela Curry. She always shows up late, but she does show up, so we got to give her credit for that.
Yep.
NPC Oasis says red hot dog special, the red hot dog special. Admiral Whackass is here. The infamous Costco hot dog. Now they're saying it's infamous, Gary. You're saying it's delicious, but
It's infamous.
The Gordox Pub.
Now I'm intrigued. What's their legacy? If it's
Yeah,
it has like an urban myth attached to it.
All right, here we go. We get some more details. Costco has a rotisserie hot dog roller fryer machine that makes them taste really good. Okay,
That's their secret.
Oh,
there it
man.
is.
Plus, it's huge. It's like a foot long, big bun. All the condiments you can,
For a buck, well, I can't.
Yeah,
Probably in
roast beef.
Biden's America, the money's it's probably like $2.50 now, right? I can't still get a dollar.
well, yeah, probably, yeah. But still,
He's a monster.
there's a hot dog vendor in my neighborhood, little shack, and he sells his hot dogs for $6. I was like, oh, are you kidding?
$6 hot dog? That's outrageous.
Yeah, and I just think of Costco.
Now I would pay $6 for a good Polish dog, but that's a little bit more than just a regular hot dog.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Randy
really a
Howell
hot
from
dog.
Canada, $5 Canadian. Gary ate a hot dog. He can forget his corn dog endorsement contract. That's right. You're not supposed to cross over, man.
Hey, they're all dogs.
That's
Yeah.
true. There is that connection. Amoral Fat 40 ounces says, is that lawless? It is Dan Lawless. Dan
Okay,
Lawless.
hold on a second. Is it amoral to be fat or 40 ounces?
But of course, Dan is our permanent guest host on the show now. So, Angela Curry's claiming she played bocce ball. I don't know if I believe it or not.
Angela Curry
Did you play the bocce ball yet?
Yeah, Don Drysdale. That's the picture. That's who I was thinking of. Thank you.
Angela has many layers.
I don't know. I don't know. Are you supposed to say that to a woman? You have many layers.
Doesn't sound very nice.
No, it doesn't. Let's see. Henry Thrun says he just arrived at Costco. I only get groceries here. We eat all that I get. Henry, since you're there, check on the prices of the hot dogs and get back to us.
Yeah,
Let us
get
know
back
how
to
much
us
we're
on
going
that.
for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Henry is on the ground for us at Costco. Will give us an update here soon on the hot dog situation.
We have people everywhere.
We do. We have spies. They're
We
infiltrating.
cover the waterfront.
All right. So, Dan, you produced the categories this week, and they were really set up to turn this into a competition, which I
Really?
am not in favor of, but because you were picking characters as opposed to necessarily subject matters, but that's fine. And so Judge Dredd was the winner. Now, Judge Dredd does have a few characters that we can choose from. So we may not all be drawing Judge Dredd. Let's find out. David, what do you... Oh, before we do that, we need a little show and tell time. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Aaron,
David,
did you know that Katie
David,
snuck in?
What's that, Gary?
Katie just snuck in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, Katie did.
Hey, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Hello.
Hello, Katie.
David, do you have anything you want to share with us?
Sure.
Oh, he does. Yeah. All right.
Well, that was from last week, correct?
Oh, you finished it up. Yeah, nice. Very
Well,
nice.
I finished.
that's
didn't
great.
finish
I
on the
love
show?
it.
I don't know. Did you have all the color in when you were?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Pretty close, I think you did.
I might have fallen asleep. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
David, are you ready for your new weekly segment later on?
What's in David's?
Leave me alone. This I did this on the show, but I didn't have the lettering on it, and I didn't mail it off yet. And I finally did the lettering on this.
Oh, that
Oh, so
is great.
someone actually
Fantastic.
owns this. They're
Yeah.
waiting for it.
Yeah. So I guess if they're watching the show, there you go.
Very
Nice.
cool.
How much did you get for it, David? I wonder if I can outbid him.
Yeah, exactly.
That lettering really is cool.
Jim,
Did you? That's hand lettering, David.
Yeah.
That's hand lettering.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Dude, that's nice.
If you look at it up close, you can see it's not perfect.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Very nice.
Nancy.
To do a circle. How did you do the circle and not screw it up?
It's not a real circle. That's the whole point. It looks like it.
But I mean, even the curve of it,
Yeah, David, I have to admit you have nice handwriting for a black man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I'm not sure what that means, but
Remember that?
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, good. Yeah, these are all the shows where I sucked, and it's reminding me of it now.
And this is available.
Rubbing
Oh,
it.
there you go. Contact David if you want that RoboCop.
This one I did.
Now that isn't available. That's a
Yeah, that one's already gone.
Black Lightning.
He's turning white.
You have to say it like that, too.
Black Lightning.
Yeah. Lightning.
Very nice.
Back up, jive turkey, before I frickin' see your ass. And then remember my sculpture that I had of Batman.
Oh, that's right. You were working on that like a long time ago.
We're still working on it, but here's a digital output of it. But it's still rough, and we got putty all over it and stuff. So here's a first test. We were testing the printer, but this.
So that's a 3D printer.
He redid, yeah, and he redid the face and everything.
Your
So
son?
gave him a finger check. Yeah.
That's cool.
Looks awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
very cool.
And I want to show something that Gary and I participated in. It was mostly my job, but it was like one of those jobs where they say, "Hey, can you do this?" Yesterday, our main artist who was going to do it jumped off. I don't know why I get those projects. I'm the last person that should get those kind of projects. But it was in this book. They just re-released this X-Verse, the X-Women. And
does that mean they're no longer women, or
yeah, right?
That's right. Yeah, they're trans.
So I got the Storm story. I wonder why. But anyway, Sisters of the Dragon. And Kelsey helped out with this too when I was lagging, where I had Gary, Kelsey, and James Herron. If you guys look up who James Herron is, he's a fantastic artist. He helped out. He just did a couple of layouts for me. But Kelsey and Gary did some inking. And I think this is a page that Gary inked. You remember this, Gary?
Familiar.
Yeah. So I penciled and inked all of this.
I think I still have some of those pages.
Yeah.
Legal art.
And so I just penciled this, and I sent you like a copy, and you just printed it out and inked it. Right?
Yeah. I think I still have a couple of those.
Yeah, I think you.
I did that one there on the left. Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
I can see that Kelsey face up there in the left-hand corner, that girl's face, that expression.
This one?
Yeah.
No, David did that.
No, I did that.
Well, then you like copying Kelsey then.
That-
Or Kelsey's copying you. That looks like a Kelsey face to me.
that's me in a rush, so I guess.
Oh,
Kelsey stuff looks
okay.
Oh, slam.
I got to get this crap out. So no, just kidding.
How would
This is
Kelsey
all-
do it, right?
This is all me.
Yeah, what would Kelsey do?
Yeah,
Muppet face, hurry.
yeah. Kelsey inked this page. I did this one. No, did you do this one, Gary?
No.
No,
I didn't.
okay, I did that one. Some of them I couldn't tell the difference, but some of them I could clearly say, "Oh, that's Gary."
How many page story was this?
This is Kelsey. I think it was 22. No, not quite.
I think
This
I
is
did
Gary.
one on the right. Yeah.
This is Gary.
Yeah.
This is you again now?
I don't remember.
I
I did the
think
one on
both-
the right. The
Yeah,
robot
I
page,
think both of these are yours.
Yeah, I did. Okay, I
Karate
remember the
robot.
robot page. That was a very cool panel.
That's Gary doing karate.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
this
hey,
is Kelsey inking this. This is me. That's all me.
You
Look at
guys
that
mesh
pose,
pretty
look at-
good.
judicious placement of the skirt. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand the physics of that.
Hey, that's Nightshade.
Yep. Okay, and this is where James Heron came in. He did the layout for this one while I was working on this one. He said, "Hey, can you just do a layout for this next page so I can figure it out?" And I stayed pretty close to it because he has really good movement in his panel layouts.
Looks like a nice facial construction too.
Yeah. Now these are all me. Black on black crime.
I was just about to say that, but I thought,
I
you
know
know
you
what?
were thinking it.
I was like, I better let David say that. It'll be
Yeah.
safer if I let him say that.
Oh.
Look at this. Stay down, bitch.
Is that the dialogue you penciled in the margin there?
I don't know why they didn't want to go with it, but this Kelsey inked this.
Yeah, I did the one on the right.
Yeah, and then Gary came in.
Man, you had pages going out every direction.
Yeah, I didn't draw this one over here,
Yeah, I can tell.
but I did this one because I said, "Oh, I got to draw the X-Men." Is that coming in clear?
Yeah, there you go, right there.
Looks good.
And I
Actually, you can
did-
see it pretty
And
well.
I didn't do that last page. I was just like, okay, I'm tapped out. But this was fun. Remember that, Gary?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a good
it
old
is.
solid X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
Back when you could draw girls, attractive girls.
Right?
No, you didn't get in trouble for it.
That's it.
Katie Did's channel for $2. Hope y'all having a great day. Thank you, Katie. We appreciate you
Thank
stopping
you.
by, and thank you for the super chat.
We do have a hot dog update.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, from Henry.
Mm.
Dude,
I got to get down
he
here.
says, just got in 1/4 pound plus all beef hot dog and 20-ounce soda with refill is $1.50.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
You
that's
know where
what-
I'm going right after
there.
the show, baby.
Yeah.
Heading to Costco. Wow. Still $1.50. Wow. They must really be cleaning up on the other areas.
That's
of their
just
store.
that's to bring them in. That they're probably losing money with it. They're,
Right.
they're probably
And
just
their
bringing people
pizza, they have like pizza slices for about the same price.
Wow. Eric Boyd says, I think that David Williams guy knows how to draw. Hmm.
in. We're gonna
Okay.
find out today.
We are going to find out when the pressure's on. All right, Gary, what have you got for us here? Oh,
Yeah, I was wondering how long it would take you.
I couldn't
Oh, it's
see the little
Frankenstein.
thumbnail down
Oh.
there at the bottom. This is
Yeah,
from
it's so light I
Muck
couldn't
Monster
see.
Story.
Exactly.
It took me
I
a
was-
second.
I was wondering how long is it going to take Aaron to guess what this is from?
Well, it's a Muck Monster
And
story.
it's,
That's
it's
a
like,
splash
you know, you
page.
see there's
Creepy.
there's no detail. It's just the basic shapes. And I
Yep.
just
Isn't that a Frankenstein Wrightson piece?
Yeah.
yeah, it's a panel that I
Well, it's a
blew up
splash page. It was,
11
it
by
was a splash
17.
panel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't a whole page. I
Can
made
you
it.
make it any bigger?
How about I
Well,
make
I
this
mean, it was
one?
almost a splash page. I
Right.
mean, it's
Yeah,
and this was a color insert in Creepy Magazine, which had those really kind of not great funky colors they used to print back in the day. But this story was in color.
that's right. Yeah, and it printed really well, so you could see Wrightson's lines.
Yes.
And I finished the inked version this morning.
Oh, okay. Wow. Can we zoom in a little bit on it?
Yes, we can.
Now this had to be a commission, right? You're not just
No,
doing it
I
for-
just
you did it for recreation.
I've been wanting to do this for a while, and so
You're insane.
Yeah.
this is all brush, by the way.
Of course. That goes without saying. And I'm sure that Bernie's was all pen.
No, I think a lot of this was brush because
Do you think so?
looking at
I have to go back and take a look at that now.
yeah, you could tell with some of the lines that they're inconsistencies in the ink and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I have not posted this yet. I'm going to be posting it after the show and putting it up for sale if anybody's interested.
Sven Svensson says that's decent.
Thank you.
Looks great. Fantastic.
Rooster Rockatansky says, like Brian Bolden and Bernie Wrightson had a baby. Oh, that's very cool. All right, Dan, follow that up.
This is a piece for it's just a pinup, really. I'm not sure exactly how John will use this. It's for Godlike, and this is just a rough. The black and white layout, whatever. It's going to be full color, obviously, and but he's launching on this Saturday, the second issue of Godlike, and he basically said to me, Dan, you want to do a piece? Give me an illustration. And I said, well, what? He goes, do whatever you want. I'm like, yeah. So I got his main character here. Just
are those all like bodies all over the place? Up? Huh? Are those all bodies piled up?
Those are all bodies. It's from the first issue where they had a giant war with all kinds of just mad, just massive. It is godlike. So, anyways, the story is incredible. I say the second issue is coming up. It's launching this Saturday, and it's really honestly, out of all the CG books, most unusually creative. It reminds you of Heavy Metal or Epic Illustrated. That stuff that I've been craving for a long time. Seems to have gone away from left the comic book industry, and and I don't see stories like this anymore. So I'm really kind of geeked about the whole thing and to see where it goes. But
I was going to say this is
unusual. Yes,
it has a real sort of Frazetta type flair to it, which is very different from what John is doing stylistically wise on the book. So I really like this sort of, what do you want to call it, a Savage Tales interpretation of his characters and stuff. This is really cool. I can't wait to see it colored.
Yeah, so it's fun. I mean, I have the pencils over here. I'll show you those, but I kind of want to do that. Looking up to this. It is God-like, these characters, and so I wanted to be looking up into the sky, kind of like sun hitting them, something like that. I'll do some cool lighting on them. Wesley
Gleason says he's got Kirby pants on.
That's right. Yeah, John's influenced by a lot of the stuff, so he's bringing in the Kirby's, Fourth World, all that stuff, and the heavy metal, like I said, and the Philip Droulet, stuff like that.
Very nice.
And it's a lot of fun. It's really very unusual creativity coming out of the Malin right now, and I'm excited.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see it colored, like I said. So we expect to have it fully colored next week on the show. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping to have it colored for Saturday, but then I got some work coming in tonight. Like, darn it. So
doggone pain gigs. All right, I've got something that's a little bit. You guys want to see if my camera works?
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I changed cameras because that thing was like fizzing and stuff, and so I think we're okay. All right, here's David's.
Wait, let's hold on. Could you go back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's David's appetizer.
Why does he always do this to us, man? Now I'm hungry. Okay, so here's a little Gil Kaneism for you. I decided to do a new cover for. This is the only thing about this camera; it's constantly autofocusing, so it's like drives me nuts.
Oh.
But
you just don't move anything.
You don't breathe. So
I just use my phone, by the way.
I know as soon as I show this, half the chat's going to go, I like the other one better. But this is what I was going to do. And the reason I'm not going to do it is because every single cover is Headless Horseman centric, and there's not enough variance in the covers. Look at that picture of of Wraith of God. Look, that looks very Wrightsony, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, see, my focus is just drives me nuts. Anyway, so I was going to do this one, but now I'm going to do this one because there's a witch in this story that's kind of prominent in the story, and she's
Oh,
not.
that is a great figure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like that.
What's
And
going
so-
on? Hold on. Go back to Ray's head.
He's looking up.
Yeah, when you can color and get to actually see the
Oh,
eyes.
I see. I see the face. Yeah, the cheekbones throw me off a little bit there. Yeah,
Yeah. But anyway,
that looks good. Okay, I see it now. Yeah, cheekbones just are. It looks like you got a bump on the cheek or something. That's only.
I do. It's all gnarly and bumpy. I might make that whole thing black right there too to help define that better. But anyway, yeah, I'm in the process of. I hadn't even actually started inking this without even putting the background in yet. But
Let me tell you how to fix it.
no, I got plenty of guys telling me how to fix my artwork every time I post it. So, but anyway, so this is what I'm going to go with rather than the other one. I don't know. This may end up being like the back cover or something on the book.
Oh, I love that horse, though, man. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like them both, frankly.
Well, I do too. I really like this cover. Just like I said, I was looking at all of them as a group, and I'm just like, there's not enough variance.
Yeah, Creative Face says, why not do both?
So anyway, there you go.
Why Face says, why not do both? Why not just do both?
Well, then I got I don't want like 20 covers. I'm sort of
Yeah.
heading in that direction.
Yeah. That's more expensive.
Okay.
So, but anyway, there we go. Okay, so we're going to be drawing Judge Dredd today, or Judge Dredd characters. David, what are you going to draw?
I think I'm going to do Judge Anderson.
That's the chick, right?
Yes.
Okay. Dan, what are you thinking?
Nothing fancy. I just want to draw Dredd. I think,
You're just gonna go Judge Dredd.
oh, yeah.
You know what that means then?
What?
I have to do Judge Death,
Oh,
which everybody
sorry.
expects me to
I
do
didn't mean
anyway.
to take your spot. I mean,
So no. I mean, everybody is expecting me to draw Judge Death, so I'm gonna do it, and then we'll keep everybody happy that way, right, Gary? It's all about keeping the folks happy.
Can I
That's right.
actually make up a character for Judge Dredd?
I guess you
why
would.
can't you do whatever you want?
I don't see why not.
Because I could do like a female judge with some tiggle bitties.
Well, didn't
Well,
somebody
that's
say
what Dan
Judge
is,
Hershey
isn't it?
from the movie? Judge Hershey is a
So,
attractive Judge Dredd.
David, you're basically thinking ahead. So
Yeah.
for the auction.
And she'll be called Judge D's.
Oh man.
Richie
Well,
Duke says,
speaking-
yes, I expect death from Aaron. So there you go.
Speaking of auctions,
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Gary.
no, I was setting you up.
Oh, yeah, next week, Gary says he needs some cash, so we're going to do an auction next week and of some artwork. I don't know exactly what's going to be up, but we'll be doing. Won't be a ton of stuff, but it'll be like right after the show, probably around 4:15 or so next week. That's Pacific time. We'll be doing an auction part. So Gary will probably show what he's going to put up for sale on Twitter and Facebook and
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll
See the
post.
artwork.
Yeah, I'll post.
And
some
I may do the same. I'll probably throw something up just for recreational purposes. So anyway, so mark that on your calendar for next week, and let's get this rolling, shall we?
Yeah,
Did,
sorry, Roy. Tank Girl lost. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's like we're getting the complaints of what didn't win.
We have a very sour and bitter audience, I'm afraid. It's just,
but it's also the people who voted for the least popular topic are the most vocal of.
That's right. I told Dan sent us, I don't know, 3 different options for polls. And I was talking to David and I said, what do you think? He goes, let's do the English ones, the Judge Dredd. And I said, okay. And I go, but what if they vote for Tank Girl? He goes, they're not going to vote for Tank Girl. They're going to vote for Judge Dredd. And I said, yeah, that's typical for us. What we think is going to happen never happens. Yeah. And I told him, I said, if Tank Girl wins, I'm going to strangle you.
What's wrong with Tank Girl?
Huh?
What's wrong with Tank Girl? I'm sure she's
How
fun
many
to draw.
of us have read a Tank Girl comic book?
I never read it, but I know who she looks like.
Well, she's like just this, I don't know.
Aaron, did you read a Tank Girl comic book?
No, I flipped through the pages when Dark Horse published it.
Yeah, me too. I've never read one. I know who Tank Girl is, but I couldn't tell you any other characters.
There really isn't a lot. When I was looking, I kind of did a little search, and there's Dan Dare, which I never read, and then there was another comic book called Nemesis, which I did read, which was really strange. But did you guys ever read that?
No.
Nemesis. Okay. Excellent.
So would the tank have counted as a character?
I would
think you got to put it in the picture somehow.
I would never choose to draw a tank.
Probably use it in a car.
No, hey, that's when you get out the reference. You start tracing.
No, trust me, tanks are harder than cars.
Oh, I know. I've drawn a few. I know. It's just, ugh.
Got a suggestion from Druid's Druid. Do more Wrights-esque pieces, Gary. Oh, okay. I'll knock another one out.
It's so easy.
Yeah. That was a 3-day effort.
Now, so you would light table to do your pencils, right? And
yes.
And you don't put a lot of detail in the pencils because you know what you're going to do with when you're inking it. So
right, I refer to a copy for the rendering.
So then you spend a day doing the pencils and 2 days inking, or is it even
half a day doing the pencils and 2.5 days doing inking?
Okay. I want to ask everybody real quick. We got a pretty big audience watching right now. If you guys hit the like and subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps this channel grow and reach a bigger audience than just you guys are faithful. But we want to expand our reach to take over the internet. So please help us do that by liking and subscribing. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time. This ends this public service announcement.
I like the way you put that. Expand our reach.
Yeah. Conquer the universe, as it were. All right.
If David was able to expand his reach, he would weigh 300 pounds.
Oh, well, yeah, he's kind of subject to whatever his wife brings him, right?
Whatever he can grab off the tray as she walks by.
Yeah, exactly. Before his kids get it.
So, you guys like the Judge Dredd movie? Did you see it?
Which one?
And I'm kind of embarrassed.
The Carl Urban one?
The one with Stallone.
Oh, no, yes. I hated that one.
Really? I liked it a lot.
No. It wasn't a Judge Dredd movie. It was a Stallone movie because most of the film, he wasn't wearing the helmet.
It was like Demolition Man Part 2.
Yes, I thought it was more like Demolition Man.
But I thought he captured the character where, I am the law kind of thing.
If he would have kept the helmet on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Otherwise, it's just Sylvester Stallone running around.
Yeah.
Well, they had the excuse to take it off because he went to jail, but we didn't need that.
Right. That's probably in Stallone's contract. I can only wear the helmet for 10 minutes.
See, Dan, they're turning on you already. They don't.
Eh,
I mean,
What,
the
the
first
chat?
part of it, the first part of that movie felt like I was watching like the old Adam West Batman because it was kind of funny, and then it gets really dark by the third act. It was like, whoa, you know, it made a hard left. But
who's the comedian in that? I forget his name. He's a very prominent
Rob
conservative now.
Schneider.
Who?
Rob Schneider.
There was a comedian in
Schneider
the.
was in that, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Stallone became tight buddies because he was also in Demolition Man. Also, it's like they were pairing off, and he was tagging along with Stallone in these movies. And I think there was a third movie Stallone and Schneider were in together, so they were in the same circle, for a little
Yeah,
bit.
he's pretty conservative. In fact, I saw a interview on Tucker Carlson with him, and it was really good, really interesting, worth checking out. Because the interesting thing is his
Schneider.
experiences.
Oh, Rob Schneider. Okay.
His experiences mirror the comic book and people in the arts, because he's in the arts. So a lot of what you and everyone has gone through being conservative persons, he went through, and it's you can really relate to it, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he really put his career in jeopardy by coming out conservative. Because I mean, what has he done in the last 10 years?
Well, I mean, he was a part of a lot of things that his other friend from SNL was the water boy. What's his name?
Sandler?
Yeah, Adam Sandler. Him,
The Waterboy.
they're still like really good buddies and stuff.
Yeah, he was in a lot of Sandler films.
Yeah, and he had his own little spin-off movies and all that kind of stuff. And he's financially set. But association, is a big thing. And
Right.
he said Adam Sandler never stopped. He calls him once a week, still to this day. And I'm like, that's pretty cool just to see how he's doing.
Yeah.
And Adam
Everything
Sandler's no slouch amongst celebrities.
Right.
Everything I've heard about Sandler, and I've never been a huge Sandler fan in terms of like his comedy and stuff. There's a couple movies that were funny, but he seems like, from what I understand, is a really good guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And he's also
is he
rigid.
conservative?
I don't know. I don't think he would put it out there one way or another.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys out there that don't just can't say anything because they know what will happen.
I was indifferent
over.
to Adam Sandler until I heard his Thanksgiving song on Saturday Night Live. And one of the lines in the song I thought was genius. I'm paraphrasing. It goes something like, it's a Thanksgiving song, so it's about food. I like cake. I like pie. Sammy Davis Jr. has a glass eye. I thought that was brilliant. I was like, what does that have to do with Thanksgiving? It doesn't matter. It's hilarious. Billy Bob says, we are living through the Judge Dredd times in real life in the UK.
Oh, that's for
Yeah.
sure. 10 times worse there than it is here.
Yeah.
That's why you need Judge Dredd to, step up and take control of the situation. Can someone explain to me what I've got to admit, when I bought Judge Dredd, I read a couple of the comics, but I mostly bought them just to look at the artwork. And I didn't have the foundation behind the character to really sort of get into it. So it was always sort of confusing to me. So I didn't read a ton of them, but who's Judge Dredd? Or I mean, Judge Death. Where did he come from? What's his story? Does anybody know?
I don't know if he has a story. I think he just showed up with 3 other judges. It was what were the other 3?
They're like the 3 horsemen. Not the 4, but the 3.
Like, yeah, the 4 horsemen: pestilence and famine and Yeah, they were pretty gruesome. Shoot, I can't remember the fourth one. Pestilence, famine,
It was
death,
war.
war. Was it war?
Well, in the Bible, that's what it is.
I'm thinking of the Judge Dredd, not the actual Four Horsemen.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't they use the same? Well, maybe not.
Spaceman. I will check out that interview based on your recommendation.
What interview are we talking about? Share it with everyone, Gary. Jeez.
Well, we were talking about earlier.
I can't remember what we were talking about earlier. Rob Schneider.
Spaceman does. Yeah. Okay, Creative Face says war, pestilence, death, and famine.
Yeah, war, pestilence, death, famine. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay, and Brent Mackey says Judge Death, Fire, Fear, and Mortis. So that was the version, the Judge Dredd version.
So there was like 4 of these dudes then.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. I mean, what the.
Should I show my recreation of the double page spread of the 4 judges?
Yes.
Okay, let me find
Bring
it.
it up. Bring it up.
Hold on a second, I have to find it. In one of my recreation files. I've done a bunch of Boland recreations. Where is he? Boland. Where is he?
What'd you guys think of the debate last night?
What was that, David?
I thought it was funny.
I didn't watch it, and the reason being is that I know both candidates' positions, and I know, so having a gotcha moment on TV, and it to me is like completely worthless. And it's nothing that happened would change the way I vote. We've already seen Trump's 4 years as president, so we know what he's going to do, and we've seen Kamala Harris for long enough to know exactly what she's going to do or not going to do, depending on how you want to look at it. And so it's like, I mean, I know there's a section of the population that's like, they deem that stuff important, and they're on Twitter right now saying, oh, so and so won, and this, that, and and you're just like, that doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is, what are these people going to do if you vote them in office? And we all know the answer to that question already. So,
well, I think the purpose of these debates is to swing undecideds.
Yes, I agree.
And I don't think that really happened with this debate. I don't think that many people went, you know what? Kamala rules. Or, even with Trump, there wasn't, an ass whooping like what Trump did with Biden.
Well, my but that again, it's kind of like, we know Trump we all know Trump has a propensity to say dumb things at certain times, and it's kind of like, okay, I know that, but to me, it has nothing to do with what he's going to do when he's in office. We know what he's going to do, and we know exactly what she's going to do. And if you think what she's going to do is okay, then I can't help you. But so yeah, I worked. I had stuff to do.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. I have that Judge Death double page spread.
Let's take a look. Oh,
I can't see it.
Oh,
I'm away from my drawing. I'm over sitting over here.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, so this is a recreation. It's not just me pasting heads on Bolden's artwork. I did recreated the whole thing.
Oh God, what a lot of work.
Let's zoom in on.
Oh, there's Kamala up
There's
there.
Kamala, yeah.
Is that AOC on her belt?
Hadn't thought of that.
Oh. Well, here's a good question. Best name I can think of for $4.99. Thank you so much. He says, "What do you think makes a good pairing between penciler and inker?" David, we'll start with you, and we'll just go around.
What was it about?
What makes a good pairing? What are you looking for between a penciler and an inker? What do you think is important? What makes a good pairing?
It's for the inker to read the penciler's mind.
Yeah, there you go. There's some of that. I think there's layers to it. Like if you're trying to have an inker for a long period of time, and you work to their strengths if you're a penciler, and the very first thing that you do with that person is you pencil whatever work that you have, the tightest you ever pencil it. And you say, this is what I'm looking for. And then if they ink it relatively close to what you're looking for, you could downshift a little on the next issue and go, hey, remember that thing I was saying I want? I want that here.
Right. You just tell them instead of drawing it.
Instead of laboring over your pencils so hard, and then you guys have a communication and an understanding. Oh, he's looking for this type of line. I did this before. You know what I mean? And so you're actually beyond just having the inker just ink your paint. You're actually having that person be a truly creative, important part of the artwork. And they'll feel a certain way about the artwork too, and they'll want to keep a certain standard, and then the quality is there. You know what I mean? So that's how it usually goes. You know what I mean? So
Gary, what do you think?
For me, it's not inking what I think the penciler wants to be the most successful pairing. It's me inking what I want, and the penciler loves it. Which means our minds are the same, that's the way he would ink it himself. And I don't have to try to figure out, as an example, when I ink Steve Rude, he has completely different sensibilities than I do. And so I have to filter everything that I do through that. A lot of, like with David, there's some of that, but a lot of what I do when I ink David is just ink it the way I want. And that's the way David wants it too. And so that's the most fun for me.
until I get the inks back and I start changing.
Yeah. But there's, there can't be that totally. I mean, the point is to make the pencil artist, shine. So if I'm trying to make a statement, I'm undoing what they've done. So if I'm in a situation where the penciler loves my choices and I don't have to worry about anything else, then I'm freed up.
Okay. Dan, what do you think?
I think the best pairing is really two people who can actually draw, and are artists in and of themselves. because you do. It is like passing the baton from one guy to the next, or girl from the next. So if they both can really do good artwork, I mean, that's why I think a penciler, should be able to ink, and inker should be able to pencil a little bit, just to, those are the best, I think, where you can really do both. So you can just kind of tag team it a little more, and where that you understand both jobs, makes you the best inker, probably the best team.
Yeah. That's part of inking anyway, is that you can't just have good line control. You have to understand what you're inking, and you have to know how to draw to be able to do that.
I agree with that a lot, what Dan said in terms of having an inker that is also a pretty good artist. To me, the thing that makes it work, and I've thought about this a lot over my career, and it's finding, and this is a lot, I think, what Gary's talking about as well, but finding someone that shares the same aesthetic that you do.
Right.
Okay. And I was never, and I'm still not, someone that's like completely in love with my penciling and think, oh yeah, this is, I want it to look exactly like this. So I was always open, and it wasn't always fair to my inkers because I wouldn't really say much to them because I wanted to find out what they would do, and if we were on the same wavelength, if I liked their art, right? If you tell someone ink it like this or do it like this, then they're ink like Danny Mickey, right? Well, they're going to do their best, but they're mimicking something that isn't really them, right? And so you're getting a cheap imitation that maybe and probably isn't as good. So you're better off allowing that inker to go in and do what they think looks good, and then you have to make the decision whether you like it or not if you're going to continue that working relationship. And for me, I've always looked for someone that had the same aesthetic that I would. And what Gary put it, I think it was you, Gary, that just said that, does this person ink the way is he doing what I would do? And that's true to a certain extent, but one of the guys I really, really like to work with is Danny Mickey, and he doesn't ink anything like me, but he has an aesthetic to his artwork that I really like. And so when he puts it over the top of mine, I still really like it, even though it's very different than maybe what I would do. On the flip side of that, Matt Ryan is probably the guy that's closest to inking the way I ink, right? So from that standpoint, if I want something that, is consistent, then I know that it's going to look like how I would do it if I was more patient. And then I'm comfortable with that as well. But I'm not ever opposed to allowing someone to bring something to the table that maybe I hadn't thought of. Because if you try to dictate, to your inker, ink it this way and do this, like thing that David was talking about. And David is very comfortable with his own style and he knows exactly what he wants. And I'm not that way with mine. And I'm always thinking, well, could it be better if someone else did it this way? And so I'm always curious to see what someone will bring. Now, 90% of the time I don't like it, let's be honest, but that's how you discover that maybe that one guy that brings something that you hadn't thought of and you say, wow, that really looks cool. I want to, move in that direction or keep my artwork going in that direction. So to me, it's aesthetic. They have to share the same aesthetic. And that simply means, do they think the same things look good that you think look good? And everybody has different opinions about that stuff. So sometimes it's hard to find the right match for that type of team up. But
yeah. And looking at what Matt Ryan does and has done with your stuff, especially recently, I don't think I could do what he does with your stuff. I think he is an amazing inker on you. He's an amazing inker anyway, but he's better on you than I was on Sludge. And you were doing something different back then than you are doing now.
Right.
But
but I wanted specifically from you when we worked together is I felt like the early stuff that I had gotten, and granted, I wasn't a great penciler, um, and but I wanted the stuff to look polished and professional, and I was not getting that from anybody I was being forced to work with. And I knew that you could bring that to the table and get me to that point where people are looking at the artwork going, oh yeah, this looks good. This looks like this guy knows what he's doing, even though I really didn't. And
Yeah, but I say that was back then, though. I
right.
think what you're doing now, my point is Matt is doing a better job than I think I could.
Well, he's doing it. Yeah, I mean, he's doing more to what I'm looking for. But again, but I don't like to talk in terms of better or for worse because that's all sort of subjective and opinion, and it changes depending on who's looking at the artwork. But
I do. I mean, whenever I see an inker inking someone that I've inked,
mm-hmm.
I always make that judgment. Can I do better than that? And I look at what Matt is doing, and I've decided I can't. This what he's doing is superior to, I think, than what I could do.
Well, probably for what my specific, yeah, again, if you're talking about specific needs and wants of a particular artist.
Right. And just the matchup, what he's bringing to it fits really, in my opinion, fits really well with you.
Thank you. I agree. So here's off that same topic. If you take a look at, say, Neil Adams and take Giordano or Tom Palmer, both did a really good job inking Neil Adams. It wasn't the same though.
Right.
Do you guys have Gary, I'll start with you. Do you have a preference of those two guys? Do you find
absolutely?
Okay, so
Giordano inked more Neil Adams than anybody else, and he was outstanding. I mean, because that was his style. I mean, when Giordano drew, penciled and inked his own stuff, it looked like from the Neil Adams school, so that was his. But Tom Palmer brought another level to it that Giordano didn't. And so I don't think it was a contest. Tom Palmer was amazing.
I agree with that too, because and the funny thing is I'm not a big, it's kind of blasphemous, but I'm not a big Tom Palmer fan. I'm more of a fan of Palmer depending on who he's working on.
Right.
And I never liked him that much over Buscema, but I love him over Neil Adams.
You didn't like him on Buscema?
No, I think sometimes his stuff was a little heavy-handed, and for some reason on Neil Adams, he had these really incredibly bold holding lines, which I thought worked really well, but then his interior line work was really sort of very delicate and fine.
Yeah.
And it was just a really nice look on Neil Adams.
That's what Neil Adams did himself
when
he inked himself. Yeah.
Now, what about Gene Colan? That's the one I thought he really was a good pair with.
Tom Palmer on Gene Colan was magical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's what you said about Giordano, I think is really excellent because he and Neil Adams were obviously, like you said, from the same school. It's like,
and they shared a studio for years.
Right. And so they were basically doing the same thing, but he did I don't want to minimize what he did, but it's like he did a competent Neil Adams ink job.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
But Tom Palmer brought something else to it that made it really interesting that Dick didn't do.
Right.
So interesting. Well, that was a $4.99 question, and you got got some serious mileage out of that. But it is such a good question because that is always that's always the dilemma, right? In comics, it's like, who are you going to get stuck with? How's it going to look? Because the art is so important in the sense of, from our standpoint, from a professional standpoint, it's like it creates the fan response, right? Are you going to be popular or you're not going to be popular? And, so you're worried about that. And then you're also worried about getting your next job. Do I look as good as I possibly could look with this inker? And is it going to, help me get more work, or is it going to inhibit me from getting more work? And those are two big things.
Yeah. And to make things even more problematic of matching pencilers and inkers is the person who knows the least about that process is the one that does the hiring.
Yep.
That's the editor.
Well,
and so when you pick up a comic and you see a really bad matchup and you say, why is this inker inking this penciler? It's because the editor picked him.
Yep. That happened to me on
Whoever was available.
On Jaguar. I was just like, I wanted Gary to ink it. And they said, no, we already have an inker for you. So he was already hired before. And I'll say his name, Jose Marzan. I couldn't stand it.
David's not afraid. He'll tell you who it is.
Say their names.
And Jose Marzan, as an artist, extremely accomplished. He worked for Al Williamson on the Star Wars and a bunch of stuff. Really, really great artist, but he's just didn't understand what David was doing.
Yeah, I always thought that Gary, you did a really good job over David, and
thank you.
I know David complains about you behind your back, but I thought
I know.
Well, when I was starting out, I was did this book called Shadow Masters for Carl Potts, and he asked me, what inker would you like to have ink your stuff? And I said, Tom Palmer. And he goes, oh, he'll overpower your work. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of the plan,
Why did you ask?
I wanted,
It's like, don't ask.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. I got Russ Heath to ink that first issue of Shadow Masters, and a lot of people love his stuff, but over me it was kind of stiff. I thought it was, between the two of us, anyways. It wasn't a good matchup because we're just drew differently or something. I don't know.
And
so
that's
it was, it was technically everything was really very well done and all that, but it just I needed somebody just a little more to put a little panache on my drawings,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, again, you get away from saying, oh, this guy's a bad inker. It's just like, is it a good match or not? That's really the question. Because there's a lot of excellent inkers and pencilers out there but they just don't go good together. And you have to be, aware of that. And like Gary said, the people making those decisions generally are not really aware of that. I had someone, and I love Jerry Ordway's stuff, so don't get me wrong, but I can't remember what project it was at DC. They were looking to give Ordway some work. And they said, we want Jerry Ordway to ink this. I said, nope. Because I knew it wouldn't be a good match.
It would have looked like Ordway. Ordway-ish.
You saying it would or wouldn't have?
Would have.
Yeah. And I was just like, I just felt his line work would be too bold for what I was looking for. And I think probably intuitive, it would have been fine, but there's like.
No, I think it would have looked great, but it wouldn't have looked like your stuff.
Right.
But don't you regret
you're trying to
that? Because you could have had some Jerry Ordway pages that you could flip for a whole lot of money.
Well, it depends again. And this is the other thing, and I again, I don't want to be picking on Jerry or anything like that, but you get to a point in your career and you wonder, is he, when he was drawing Superman and Shazam, that graphic novel, fantastic. But you're like, is that the Ordway am I going to get, or am I getting Ordway at the tail?
So you're talking later in his career.
Yeah, I'm talking very later in his career.
Okay, yeah, his art style kind of simplified.
Right, and you're kind of like, because that's the one thing we all fight is when you get older, is like, God, do I still have the same energy to put into this that I did 20 years ago?
That's a lot of my motivation for some of the things that I do. I mean, like that Frankenstein piece, it was a test. That's all it was. Can I do this?
Can I still bring it? Yeah.
Right.
And or am I still willing to? Because I think a lot of people.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where yes, you can still physically do it, but mentally. I was talking with David, I guess last night we were talking about this, that you just.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's going to be too much work.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're like, this is, when you're young, you're trying to prove yourself, and you don't care. I'll work 14 hours straight on this, because, I got to get another job, and I'm trying to impress people. But then you get, near the end of your career, and you're kind of like, you just know what kind of a mental toll it's going to take on you to put that kind of work into something. And
but I'm still like that. I'm still like, oh, show them.
Well, yeah, I'm that way too, because I don't think I ever really made it. You're always looking, you're like, I'm 60 years old. And I'm like, wait a minute,
right?
I'm going to prove myself on this one. They're really,
Speaking of Ordway, Headless Bourgeoisie says Ordway's inking over Rich Buckler on All-Star Squadron was great. The best Buckler work Buckler's work ever looked. When I first started working for DC, I was living in New York and going into the office, and I knew who Rich Buckler was, but I had never seen Ordway, and that was my first exposure to Ordway, was his inking on Buckler on All-Star Squadron, and that blew me away. And so I tried to mimic what Ordway was doing in my early career based on how he was inking. He was doing finishes on Buckler, and it was amazing. Really, really amazing. Just his use of line weights and his feathering and how he did folds and his zipatone use. He was one of
the few Superman artists who could really get Superman right, because Superman is really a tough character to get right. I've done plenty of Superman. You think it'd be easy? Oh, just a standard kind of a big face, but man, it is. I've drawn some dorky looking Supermans. Yep. It's tough to get him right.
I think Batman is really difficult for me too, which it shouldn't be, because I'm a monster guy, and you'd think that would fall more into my wheelhouse. But it's, David has a real good grasp of Batman, obviously, and it's really understanding the character as well as it is just being a good artist or whatever. And Superman was a challenge for me, but when I ended up doing Justice League was the last thing I did for DC, and I really figured Superman out by the time I got to like the last couple issues.
Of course, right before you. Right,
but you sit there and you think, early in your career, it's like I don't care. I don't really want to draw Superman. I just, he's just dumb and whatever. But as soon as you get him figured out, then you're kind of like, man, I would love to draw this character now, because you sort of get it.
Yeah. I wanted to pass this along. Henry Bemis is asking me to ask Aaron if he was at Rose City. Beasley told us he dropped off some Wraith books for him.
I was there Friday for about an hour and a half, and that was it. So I went. I did not get invited this year, which is fine, because I didn't really want to go anyway. I wanted to stay home and watch football, which I did. And plus, anytime you go to a show, and especially in your hometown, it's like if you're there every year, people start taking you for granted. And
you can't go every year, because then they take you for granted.
So I thought, I'm not even going to because I could have got a table if I'd asked, because I know the right people at that show, believe it or not. And but I was like, oh, they didn't invite me. Good, I don't have to go. And that's kind of how I looked at it. But I knew that Bisley was going to be there, and I still owed him books. From, at least in my mind, he didn't think so, but I did, for doing the cover. Right? It's like, so I was going to send him some, and he said, nah, just next time you see me at a show, drop some off. And I was like, well, when am I going to see you? You know what I mean? And so he showed up at Rose City, and I was like, all right, I got to go down there and give him his book. So I did, and then bought some chocolate, and looked around and talked to Finch for a couple minutes, and then headed out the door. But Bisley's a cool guy. You want to talk about a guy who just doesn't give a rip? That's that's the guy, man. He's just like, whatever.
Hidden Hand Media is asking, what books did you do for David, Gary? What books did we work on together, David?
Hulk Power Pack.
Hulk Power Pack.
Um,
Supreme for Image.
Supreme Glory Days.
We did a Flash
Flash comic
issue from the TV Flash early in David's career.
Yeah. We did a lot of covers and pinups.
A lot of covers and
trading cards.
Yeah.
That kind of
What else?
stuff.
Did a lot of model sheets and
Yeah. And didn't you ink some of my Marvel covers? Some you did a Hercules and
yeah.
We did some that didn't get published, but they were still really cool. I don't know why they didn't publish it, but it had Iron Man, Black Widow, and Medusa on the cover. Remember that one?
Oh right, yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Never got published.
What else that didn't get published?
David, did you ever draw Black Mariah?
E-Jaw.
What are you talking about, Gary?
Nothing.
Yeah. That was pretty awesome. Would have been something special. But you know what? Something more special is on the way.
David did Judge Dredd, and I inked some pages from that. He did a Spider-Man, and I inked some pages from that.
Yeah.
That X-Men thing, I did some pages from that.
Who was published that Judge Dredd you did? Who were you was that Dark Horse, or were you doing that for
IDW?
It was IDW, okay.
Yeah.
So they had the license for a while, or how did that work? Because that was
yes.
Okay. So I've got to assume that, and I don't know, but I got to assume that Eagle Comics or whoever, whatever the parent name is for Eagle Comics, still owns all that stuff, and they would license it out in the U.S., but then still publish it in Great Britain, I assume.
I don't know.
Probably. Because I haven't seen anybody else publishing it.
Yeah, I always wondered how that worked, because I kind of feel like 2000 AD and some of that other stuff that was so prevalent there back in the 80s that we were sort of getting imported over here. But then you'd see an American company like Dark Horse or IDW or DC doing a Judge Dredd kind of crossover thing, and I wondered. I assume, and I guess we don't really. There's no real right answer to this question, because I don't think any of us know. But the copyright and stuff like that. That usually when you license something, you license it to a publisher or whatever for a period of time, and they're the ones that are publishing it. But I always kind of got the vibe that they were still publishing Judge Dredd and stuff over in England, even though there was some material was being produced in the United States as well. It was new material.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if you own the copyright to it, you can, do whatever you want, right? You can say, yeah, we'll say the U.S. license for this, but not the entire thing.
J.C. Vaughn says 2000 AD Rebellion is the company that owns it. Eagle was the U.S. reprints.
Oh, see, J.C. Vaughn knows everything.
JC knows all.
He does. I just had him on my show on Sunday, you guys. Check out his Al Capone, Captain Action versus Al Capone Vampire #1, which I don't know if it's on Indiegogo yet. He had launched it on Kickstarter, but now it's on. He was going to open up one on Indiegogo as well, which I believe he said was just going to be a couple of days. It's been a couple of days, so JC, tell us, is it open?
Yeah, could you, JC, give us an update on that?
Yeah, give us an update on that. Proper information.
Someone
Well,
had
that's a crazy cool idea. Al Capone as a vampire.
Someone had an interesting question I wanted to read. Andrew Kota, do you guys have any recommended drawing desks? Looking to invest in one. That's like recommending a couch. When I buy a couch, I go to furniture stores and sit on them.
Here's the secret. A lot of this. See if you can find an older used one, because you find a lot of like architects and people like that had great drafting tables. They're just trying to unload them now because everybody's doing digital stuff.
Yeah,
and I'll bet you can find one secondhand.
Expensive.
Because the new ones are usually crap. And they're not built very sturdy. The one I used, my dad made for me when I was 16, and we went into Art Media downtown Portland, Gary, you know, by the Galleria where it used to be.
Yeah.
And they had this big, huge drafting table in there. I think at the time was $500 or $600. And my dad and I went in there with a tape measure and we measured it and took all the things on it. And then he went and built it for me. And I still use it to this day. The problem with the new stuff is it's crap.
I kind of did the same thing looking at other people's desks, and I designed my own and had it custom made. But it's a piece of furniture that you sit in all day, so you have to get one that fits you. You know, don't order one out of a catalog because you don't know.
Absolutely do not.
How comfortable it's going to be, and you know, will it meet all your needs? So you have to do your homework.
Now, I used to have one of those drafting tables and giant ones like that, but it was a beast. I mean, you couldn't move it. I mean, so it's sort of stuck where it is. It was just so darn heavy, and so I kind of what I got now here is this is a light table. It's also it's also really heavy, but it's just smaller. I mean, I don't need it takes over a room. So keep in mind when you're buying something, dude, just how much room you got for it. If you got a big studio room, fine. But if you just got like a bedroom and that sort of thing, keep in mind it will take over that room completely.
Yeah, mine is oak and it's really big.
Yep, mine too. Yeah. And I've got
so to keep in mind the space you have available to you and whether or not you have to move it at any time for cleaning or anything.
Yeah, I when I move, I hire college kids.
I'm not moving crap anymore. No, that's an excellent point because you are kind of a slave to how much room you have actually to operate in, to what you can get. And I was always, though, I loved having the idea of having this huge drafting table. And so I was cramming this giant drafting table in some pretty small rooms. In my time, I finally have a little bit of breathing room now, but that is an excellent point. I would probably collect drafting tables if I had Jay Leno has collects cars. If you had a garage to put them in, because I got one over here behind me that is a really old oak drafting table that was it's not very tall, but it's super long, and it was a drafting table for architect. And I was in Florida when I was working at CrossGen, and my neighbor, his wife was a retired architect, and they had this thing sitting in their garage. And he calls me over and he says, hey, you interested in this? And I go, well, how much you want for it? He goes, I'll just, because I was like, I really don't have any place to put it, which I really didn't. And he's like, I go, well, how much do you want for it? And he goes, oh, I'll just give it to you if you take it. And I went, okay, I'm taking it. And I had no place to put it, but it's so freaking cool. And so now I have it up back here in this studio, but it was sat in my garage for a long, long time because I had no place to put it.
How many drawing tables do you have?
One, two, three, four.
4.
Now, the one I'm drawing on right here is kind of a small, cheap one that Shelly got for me just for use on air for doing stuff like this, but I never use it otherwise. I paint on it, I suppose, but it's a little too low, and I'm always hunched over. My back's killing me after I use it. But,
Yeah, that's what I mean by like a piece of furniture. You got to try it out because I had a major back problems as early in my career, hunching over a drawing table, and I ended up figuring out that if the surface was almost upright, then I could just like move my chair to the drawing table instead of bending over, and that literally saved my career.
Damn.
No. What great questions. And this I think, Gary, to hear you kind of grouse about this makes me think that maybe it's time for What's Gary's Beef.
Well, before we do that, JC Vaughn gave an update. He says it will be on Indiegogo tomorrow.
Okay.
He didn't want to launch it on 9/11.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yes, that's true.
And Toshiro says, Gary, do me a favor and wish my wife a happy birthday. If you get a sec, she'll love it. Throw out a happy birthday, Shannon. Okay, Shannon, happy birthday.
There you have it.
There's a little Jack Nicholson in there. Scared me.
All right, Gary, are you ready?
Sure.
Let's run the intro, folks. It is What's Gary's Beef today.
Whose laugh is that?
It's a chipmunk or something.
Yeah. My beef today is button pushers.
Now, are we talking about literal or figuratively speaking?
Literal. So I like to go on walks, like long walks in my neighborhood a couple times a week. Try to, keep fit for golf. And there's anytime I'm crossing a busy intersection, where you have to wait for a walk signal, I'm standing there next to the control. And there's always some beetle wit that comes up and pushes the button. And I'm standing there next to it, waiting to cross. So, do they not think that I pushed it or not? That I'm like using my Jedi powers, get the light to change?
You will hate me. I'm one of those people.
Well, just in case.
Yeah, and
You never know.
the other thing is that they see me standing there and they pretend I'm not there. They won't make eye contact because they know they're, breaking some social etiquette by pushing the button with me standing there. But somehow they can't help it. And it's
They don't think too highly of you.
With elevators. Have you ever been standing waiting for an elevator to come? And pretty much every person that comes up behind you will walk up and push the elevator button. Like my elevator button pushing doesn't work, but I need someone else to come along. And what really gets me is the multiple button pushers where they go, like that's going to get the elevator to come even faster when you push it 7 or 8 times rapidly. So all I got to say is
They're just covering their bases.
Woe to future button pushers.
Woe unto thee.
I'm giving you a heads up. Watch out.
Your
I
day's a
don't-
number.
I don't know if next time around Gary, where I'm actually there's a button to be pushed, I'm either going to not do it out of fear, or I'm going to do it just to drive you nuts. I can't. Admittedly, I am one of those guys. Although if the elevator light is lit up, if it's one of those ones that's lit, it's lit up. It's like, okay, I'm not pushing the button because it's already been pushed, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's like a toy that's there, and everybody wants to play with it.
A toy, you can't help but play with it.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, I want to push it too. I think there is some of that. So, but yeah, I'm one of those people that you can't stand, Gary, because I do that.
What if it's just kind of a crazy person? They haven't pushed a button, and you never know.
That's true.
They could
That's
be
right.
just
I mean, so
standing there.
really, the proper etiquette would be to go, "Excuse me, I assume you pushed the button," and they would say, if it was Gary, you'd say, Gary would say, What are you, an idiot? What do you think? I just standing here? Of course I pushed the button. But most people would just respond and say,
Oh, I think the button is actually a test of your character.
Yeah.
That you walk up and there's somebody already there, and you walk up, your natural tendency is to want to push the button.
yes.
But then you have to think, okay, this person already pushed it, so I'm going to I'm not going to give in to the temptation, because you're insulting the person's button pushing abilities.
But again, it's like, to me, it is like a toy. It's like, why can't we all push it?
Especially if there's a light that comes on when you.
Yeah, then you've robbed the other person of the pleasure of pushing the button and making the light
Right.
come on.
Rob them the pleasure.
Of pushing the button and having there's like that sort of, those videos they have on Instagram where they're supposed to be like, this is really satisfying, watch this, and they'll cut something really straight, and it just, it's like really satisfying to watch. It's like pushing that button and seeing the light come on.
Aaron,
Gary,
your
you're the one
needs are simple.
you're taking away the pleasure from someone else of doing that.
Oh, so
I've been robbed.
I'm the bad guy.
You
for
are
getting there first.
exactly, or at least you should have enough tolerance to acknowledge that these people want to push the button.
No, I was like, am I invisible? Do you not see me standing here?
They just want to push the button, Gary. That's all. All right. Well,
While we're
So they're literally pushing your buttons while they're pushing your buttons.
while we're goofing around, Creative Faye sent me something.
all right. Let's see what she's got for us today.
Anybody wants to know how to push Gary's buttons, you know now.
Kelsey signing. So here's some tourists. There's somebody with a camera. Films Jam. There's somebody with a sniper rifle. and there's somebody else with, is that like a burglar mask? I can't tell. Shh, he'll hear you. We don't want to scare him. And then in the corner, kind of whimpering with glasses, I just got a credit on the show.
Okay, so I'm the guy with the hat. That's Dan Lawless saying, I just got a credit on the show.
Wait a minute.
That must be David with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, and Dan, you don't want Kelsey to come back apparently.
Because you just got a credit on the show and you don't want to win.
Wait, bring it back. I got to get out of my chair to see this thing. So
What do you mean bring it back?
bring it back up.
Okay, hold on a
I'm over at my drawing table, and I have to come over to the computer.
Oh,
I run over to the computer to see the image. So. Don't push the button, though, Dan, whatever you do. Gary's already pushed it.
yeah. Yeah. Don't push the button.
Even if the light comes on, don't push it.
Okay, Aaron.
Here it is. Oops. What did I just do? Oh, I just knocked Dan out. Sorry, Dan. I hit the wrong thing. There we go. There it is.
What am I doing there?
You're groveling in the corner. You don't
think
want
I'm
to
pick-
You're like
Picking my
we're all
nose.
hiding behind the bushes. And Dan is
Picking my nose.
powering.
Well, I
Apparently.
don't know what creative phase thinks of you, but there
She's
you go.
well, it looks like she's kind of taking a shot at everybody.
Yeah, she
She's
is.
got the hair right, though. The hair's good. Kind of disheveled mess.
Okay, Henry Jeremek says, to be fair, he's loading a dart into the gun, not a bullet. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're supposed to track him. We want to put a.
And Henry's like
Track
getting
his
back at me
movements.
for one of my beefs. He ends the sentence with, so.
Hey, the chat never forgets, Gary. You know that.
I notice you've been doing that more often.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I don't know that you should read anything into that.
You were doing it on your Sunday show.
So, you've had that sort of effect on me.
Yeah, I think someone who doesn't have anything better to do and is clever could compile clips of you saying that.
And find out how much they've increased since you complained about it.
Right.
Does anybody know? Perhaps our good friend J.C. Vaughn might know, and probably does. Are they still publishing Judge Dredd over in England?
You mean new stuff?
Yeah.
Good question. I know they're constantly reprinting.
Well, there's a lot of guys like Liam Sharp, that are over there, and other guys that are doing. They you don't see them doing a ton of Marvel and DC stuff these days, and so you think, well, what's going on over there? I know, like Biblia Bob is from over there, and there's some others in the chat. What's being published over there as new material in jolly old England that we should be aware of? Are they still doing this, or there's something else? And what's the go-to for you guys in comic reading over there?
That's
If
a
it's
good
not
question.
American stuff.
Yeah, good question.
Because there used to be a lot of cool stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
And there might still be, I don't know.
And the U.S. Robbed the top talent.
Well, that was, right? I mean, it's kind of like there was that sort of Filipino invasion in the 70s at Marvel, and then they had kind of the British invasion, with Alan Davis and Paul Neary were kind of the first, right? And then it was just, there was several other ones. Who was the other one you guys just said? Cam?
Gibbons, Dave Gibbons.
Yeah, Dave Gibbons.
Of course, Boland. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Neill.
Who?
Is that his name?
Who?
Kevin O'Neill.
Yeah. Cam Kennedy.
Cam Kennedy. Yeah.
What's the guy who did Marvel, like all of the Marvel stuff, like how the movies look now? It's because of him. Brian Hitch.
Yeah, Hitch.
John Bolton.
Bolton. There you go.
Who are we leaving out?
Now, you guys.
Nigel Farnsworth. I don't know.
Nigel Farnsworth. I love Nigel Farnsworth.
Even Ian McTavish.
Sven Svensson says John. We remember John. That guy was great.
That might be he might be finishing something earlier.
Oh, John McCrae. John
Oh
McCrae.
no, he's John Wagner.
Okay, yeah, Wagner. Glenn
And he also
Fabry,
said
Alex
Arthur
Worley,
Rand.
Bigby. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
a lot. Yeah,
And you'd
Glenn
think,
Fabry.
if to produce that many fantasy artists, there had been
Jim
a lot of stuff.
Silky, is he Brit?
Who?
Jim Silk?
No,
No, Silk's not British.
Marcus, are you yanking our chain here? Or did Marcus actually get something wrong?
That would be
Uh-oh.
incredible if he actually screwed up once.
Whoa.
I think he's yanking our chain. I'm going to assume he is.
Never assume, Gary.
I assume all the time.
That's all I do is assume stuff.
Yeah. Assumption is the cornerstone of my thinking process.
I would have nothing if it weren't for
Right.
assumptions. All right, so we're almost at 4:00. Let's see if we can wrap this up in I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Not to put any undue pressure on anybody. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't want Dan and David to crack under the time pressure. I've actually been making steady progress for a change on this show.
You have been, yeah. I noticed that you didn't go to graphite pencil. You just went directly from the blue line to inks.
I was, I've been kind of inspired by what we did with Sienkiewicz. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
You have to apologize to Dan every time you say his name.
Get it right. Will you please just get it right? Just kind of going for it,
Yeah, yeah. Sequential Treasure says Frank quietly.
there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. Sheesh. We're a bunch of dopes. Sean Allen says Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah.
Oh.
How did we
One of the
forget?
originals, right?
How did we forget BWS?
Because we claimed him. He's ours now.
Well, that's
right.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. He's not a Brit anymore.
Man, you heard the stories about him like coming over to work at Marvel and not having any place to stay and like
He was drawing.
on a park bench.
Was it X-Men?
Yeah.
Yeah, on a park bench in New York. Gary Frank, J. Dredd.
Yeah, that's right.
No, we did not mention him. Man, I told you, I knew we were missing a lot.
Fun, man.
Yeah, Gary Frank is awesome.
Yep. I didn't used to like his stuff when he first broke in that much, but man, I love it now. I think he's one of those guys, in my opinion, that just gotten better and better. And that's what you want.
I think he could really benefit from a brush inker.
Like you, perhaps?
Gary Frank was on Hulk, right?
Yeah, he took over after Keown left.
Right.
After a friend of the show, Dale Keown. He's a good friend of the show.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't love his stuff, because he's following Dale. Poor guy. Anyone trying to follow Dale, I mean, give me a break.
Right, but I mean, and I was probably in the same boat too, because I love Dale's stuff, and it's kind of like Redondo following Wrightson on Swamp Thing. That's brilliant stuff he did, but no one cared because
Yeah, because it wasn't Wrightson. Yeah,
but he's just continued to get better and better, and I really like his stuff.
yeah. He's a great illustrator.
I have to see.
So
I have to
if
look into
you're
it, see what he's up to.
watching, we're sending you our love, man.
And I've been, trolling the eBay listings for some of his original art, and I've yet to be able to afford any of his pages.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Speaking of which, right, Lee Weeks. And I don't know Lee. I talked to him, like I mean, we know who each other are by name, but I don't know him. And so he was sitting right next to Finch, right? And I didn't say anything to him because I don't, like I said, I don't know him. But I was looking through his portfolio. Holy smokes, man! I need to raise my prices. I couldn't. I mean, and I love because I was like, ooh, maybe I can get a Lee Weeks page. Yeah, if I mortgage my house. He had like covers for like $8,000 and $9,000 and interior pages for a couple grand and stuff. And you're like, wow, how come I can't do that?
Yeah. Marcus, you're off today. We mentioned Alan Davis.
What is up with Marcus, man? I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
time out or something. But see, that's the thing. When you come in strong like Marcus does, and then you have a bad day, and everybody's just like so let down because your expectations are so high.
Best name I can think of says Ian Gibson. I don't think we mentioned him.
Ian, I don't know who that is. Ian Gibson?
He did, according to Best Name, he did some amazing 2000 AD work.
Okay, well, there you go. See, we don't get. Did you ever regularly see I mean, I saw it every once in a while, like when it was kind of like a newspaper or something.
Yeah, I didn't see it regularly. It was hit and miss.
You'd have to be like in the right comic shop that was, whoever was in charge was smart enough to make special order. I mean, or something. Because I rarely saw that book, but every once in a while I did. And it was always full of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Of course,
I remember hearing about it, but what was 2018? What was the characters?
Well, they had Judge Dredd was in there, and
Okay.
It was like an anthology, wasn't it? I mean,
Right.
Britt's gonna have to help me out here, but and I don't know if it was monthly or
And a lot of that stuff was published in black and white, and that's my jam.
yeah, that was. I mean, if you really wanted to appreciate the art, that was the magazine or the newspaper or whatever you call periodical. Yeah, because I would see it every once in a while at. Gary, are you familiar with Don Reardon and his store over in Burnside? Yeah, okay. He's like
he still has that shop in Portland.
Okay. Well, I haven't talked to him in years, but he was one of the shops that we would go to in the area because he was dialed in, and he would have stuff that other
portfolios and posters and
right. And he had the stuff that, you wouldn't find anyplace else, which always, made the trip out there for me because I was on the west side all the time. He was over there on, northeast Portland. And but we'd make the journey out there because he always had the cool stuff.
I bought a look back from him.
I bought. You remember when the Wrights and Frankenstein book came out? He had like the intro poster, and that poster, which is that double page spread that you did a recreation of, that was basically the hardcover dust jacket illustration and the wraparound. And Marvel put out a poster of that as a kind of like a preview to the book coming out, and he had those, for sale. And so it was like you were totally aware of stuff that if you went in that shop, that you were aware of stuff that was going on that you wouldn't have been in any other comic shop. I'll get it.
Thank you.
Do you remember that Betty's Boudoir print by Dave Stevens?
Oh yeah.
He had that when that came out,
Wow.
And I would go, one of the signed and numbered ones he had, it was too much money for me at the time. And my mom probably would have gone, "Why don't you bring it home?" But he would have like, even the indie stuff, like American Flag from First Comics and all that kind of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see, wasn't necessarily readily available in every place you'd go otherwise to get comics. So, yeah.
I used to have a 7-Eleven in my neighborhood that whoever ordered the books, the magazines, was pretty savvy, and they used to have a lot of their comic book rack was always chock full of great stuff, but they had some crazy, choices. But they sold heavy metal there, and different. And I remember one of the magazines that they had. It was called Heads You Lose. And it was just a photo magazine of third world countries where they, as capital punishment, they would behead.
Oh,
Me.
It was just photos of that. That's all it was.
Yikes.
Heads You Lose.
Oh my gosh,
That was in 7-Eleven.
my goodness.
in 7-Eleven.
Yes.
There was that is crazy, but you're right. There was so many weird in the 70s, so many weird magazines like that. And there was this pharmacy that was, within a few miles of our house, but it was like tucked away in this corner by like an old barber shop kind of thing. And it just had the weirdest stuff in there, but they carried like the Monster Times, which I couldn't find anyplace else. And they had like weird magazines, like you're talking like that, like you're talking about. Just like Heads You Lose.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a friend who worked there at Graveyard, and so I'd come visit him just to hang out, and he saved that for me. I set it aside for you.
Because I knew you'd really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Heads You Lose.
And then he'd answer the phone. This was like, 1 o'clock in the morning. The phone would ring, and he'd answer the phone. Hello, Stop and Rob.
Oh man, there was a magazine that was it was all about getting high and weed and stuff. It was called High Times. Did you ever see
Oh,
that
yeah, I
magazine?
remember that. Yeah,
Sure.
I think I remember that.
yeah.
I never read it because I wasn't into pot or anything, but it was like, how do you do a whole magazine on weed?
Right. Yeah, the getting high lifestyle.
I mean, I suppose they did interviews with guys that got high or whatever,
True stories.
It's like
but it was like a monthly magazine.
it's like Cheech and Chong again.
Yeah, exactly. It was so weird.
Yeah, remember that.
Good old High Times. Oh, and Media Scene, Stranko's thing, that would always show up in the right bookstore, but you had to be in the right bookstore or magazine.
Jonas Olsen, yes. I'm on Instagram. You can DM me.
What's that referring to?
Let's see. Instagram is Martin Inkart. And
Oh,
my,
I see. Okay.
my Twitter my
Okay.
Twitter is G Martin Inc.
Wasn't sure if you were talking to us or if you.
You think you're going to ever switch to saying X? I just say Twitter still.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've ever said X, referring to Twitter.
I call it Twitch.
Well, the thing is that when you say Twitter, it completely eliminates the confusion. You know what you're talking about. But if you say X, it could be other things.
X marks the spot. X rated. The Exorcist. Nah, that was a bit of a reach, but
All that stuff, yeah. X-Men.
Wasn't there a comic book called X or something with a bald guy with glasses or something?
There was a Dark Horse character called
That
X.
was Mr. X.
Oh, Mr. X. Okay, yeah. Then there was that was
That's-
Chris Warner.
That's Paul Revocious thing.
Yeah.
Right. That was Revocious, Mr. X. And then Chris Warner did, or at least created the character X for
Yeah.
Dark Horse in their like new universe or whatever.
Yep.
And of course, Headless Bourgeoisie reminds us ex-wives.
Yeah. Yeah, my ex.
Okay, Geek Avenger got a super chat in there for $5. It slipped by us, but I'm so attentive that I'm on top of it. $5. Geek says, I didn't listen to the
Sorry,
debate.
Geek Avenger.
whenever I listen to Kamala, I lose IQ points. I know, the same way.
Yeah, when we were talking about the debates.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't like listening to people, like irritating people, because it just I'm like annoyed most of the time about something anyway. And so why do I want to create more things for me to be annoyed about?
Yeah, and you guys didn't see it, but the faces she was making were
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
patronizing, just so
Yep.
annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, we get it. Oh, you know that you think Trump's crazy and saying crazy things. Whatever.
Yeah. Call CAWL. Call me MEH. Jed. Howdy, y'all. Haven't seen one of these in a while. Glad I was able to make it. Hold on a second. It's scrolling. Glad I was able to make it before Mr. Martin won another inevitable victory.
Oh, jeez.
You were searching for that one.
Well said, Jed.
Yeah.
Well said.
The Garyites are out in full force today.
Angela is asking, do you think she had an earpiece, Gary?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, you can see it online. You can buy it, that earpiece.
There's no way they would have turned her loose without any supervision.
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
I was in the contract.
I kind of feel like there was a time in our history that where things were relatively fair, but
Yeah.
maybe there wasn't, and we just didn't know about it. And now
Yeah,
we
we're
do.
not surprised when people openly cheat.
Well, you know what they used to say: if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
I remember the different world that I came from. The first time I played basketball in a public playground in New York City. And I grew up in white suburban San Jose, California. And then when I moved to New York to break into comics, playing street ball in New York City, where everyone planted themselves in the key.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all, hey, man, that's 3 seconds. The looks that I got, it didn't even occur to me, like, come on, grow up. Just a completely different world.
I mean, the only foul in street ball there is, man, you didn't get shot.
Yeah.
I learned that, man, very early on, even in suburban white Oregon, that you're playing street ball, man. You do not call fouls unless the guy just destroys you.
Man, that was only a knife wound. Get your punk ass up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if I'd have guts enough now to go even around here. Do a pickup game.
That's true. It's different now.
Yeah.
Henry Jeremick is asking, what year was that? When did I move to New York?
1305.
It's an old date when you say aught instead of 0. I moved to New York to break into comics in 1980.
That is 3 years before Simonson's Thor hit the newsstands, for you that are trying to gauge that.
Speaking of New York, we should probably mention 9/11 today, guys.
Let's never forget.
Yeah.
Never forget.
That was a crazy thing.
That was the most unbelievable thing I'd ever witnessed or lived through, I guess would be the way to put it. We were just watching it on the news, and you could not believe what you were seeing. And then when they collapsed, it was like, it was just unbelievable.
Do you remember the
everyone
moment?
just didn't know. Those newscasters are like, it's gone. It's like, it's not there anymore,
Do you remember the moment and where you were when it happened?
Yeah, I was at home.
Yeah, my living room.
In fact, my wife called me from school. She was teaching, and Shelly called me and goes, "Did you hear what's happening at the World Trade Center?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I would never listen to the news, even back then. And she goes, "Turn the TV on." And I did. And I was like, "So there's the Twin Towers smoking." You know, and you're like,
Yep.
"What the?"
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me. My wife called and said, "Turn the TV on." A plane hit the Twin Towers. And at first I was thinking, oh, just a 2-person commuter or something like that. And I saw the gaping hole, but I couldn't really tell the size of that.
Right.
And then the second one hit. Oh man, that
I
was
know. I
crazy.
think I had the TV on before the second one hit, and I was just like, "What is going on?"
Mm.
It was really terrifying because it was like, is this World War III? Are we, it's like,
Yeah, that was so unreal about it. I mean, it's still when I think about it, it just it didn't seem like it was actually happening.
yeah. I mean, I had been on top of the World Trade Center before. Yeah.
Wow.
I was just thinking, my gosh, what if you're up there like on a tour or something? And that
But
happened?
even now, you look at the New York skyline from the Statue of Liberty point of view, and they're not there. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, if you're used to it like we were, growing up, and then also
watching old movies.
Yeah, and just being there in New York trying to get work in comics, that was, you get down to the, near the Statue of Liberty, and there were the Twin Towers down, and it was just such a huge part of the look of New York City. And then when it was gone, it was just like, wow.
Going back to a previous conversation, Skullnatcher says it was called New Amsterdam when Gary was there.
That brings up a question. I bet someone in the chat knows. I don't know why I was thinking this the other day, but I was thinking about New York, and I was thinking, why is it named New York? I mean, I assume York obviously is a place in England, but it's not like
they wanted to make sure they were clear that they weren't talking about Old York.
Right, I know, but why York? I mean, New England, you get the area, right? You say, okay, Old England, that's the name of the country. This is New England. I get that. But New York, why York? Why was it York that they picked out? Why wasn't it New London or something like that? Why did York get the extra credit there? That's what I want to know.
Sleeping psychopathy. Am I saying that right?
Psychopathy.
I'm never going to get that right. It was named after the Duke of York.
Okay, there you go. See, people know stuff.
And Richie Dupe says York was the capital of England in the past.
Okay. See, we got clarity now.
And Sven Svensson says New York is in Ukraine too, now Russia.
York is, or New York?
New York.
So they have a New York in Ukraine?
That's what he says. It's now in Russia.
Oh.
This reminds me. I was watching Speed Racer a couple nights ago, late night.
Were you?
And it reminded me
of the movie or the animated?
The cartoon.
Okay.
Reminded me, it was like some of their goofy names that they had for some of their characters.
What was the monkey's name? Chim Chim or something?
Chim Chim. Just like some of the character names. And they were doing a story of some rich guy who was financing a race, and his name was Baron von Vonderbahn.
Baron von
Vonderbahn. Oh. And of course, with him is his daughter, Yvonne von Vonderbahn. I laughed for 20 minutes. I just kept saying it over and over again. Yvonne von Vonderbahn.
Or are they like sitting
there? That sounds like a superhero Shazam kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm
those guys are
going
sitting
on.
around, what's the stupidest thing we can come up with?
Yeah.
But then the
They
actor
didn't like
has
the
to-
Germans back then, did they? Kind of anti-German like sounding.
Well, could be.
Still remnants of the
You know
WW2.
what I learned on my trip to Europe? My 2 trips to Europe and Germany? The Germans hate the French.
I think every.
Well, don't the
European
English hate the French too?
I think,
Yeah.
I think there
The
was right.
Italians hate the French, the Portuguese hate the French, the Spanish hate the French.
The French hate
Do
the
they hate
French.
us?
The
No,
French?
everybody loves us. They love our money, our tourist money.
The French hate the French.
Yeah, I think you're right. French hate the Americans. That is true. I didn't get a lot of that. We actually avoided most of that because Shelley speaks French, and so most people were sort of appreciative that she was, made the effort.
Yeah, if you can speak the language, it makes a big difference. They feel like you're disrespecting them if you can't.
Except if you speak it badly, then they hate you.
Right,
even
then you're
more.
better off. You're better off not even doing it.
Right.
But we had one lady who waited on us at a kind of it was like a fast food, sort of like Orange Julius kind of place in France, and she was really snotty. Even though Shelley was, I thought, did a pretty good job with the French, but she just didn't care. She knew we were tourists and hated us. And here's the thing: it was right on the that big shopping, the park that they sell to. There's this big that road that leads through there.
Your microphone's cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a big shopping area on both sides of this, like for several blocks down. It's like Rodeo Drive in Paris is what it is. So It's the biggest tourist spot in the entire city. And you would think they'd be used to tourists, and maybe she was just sick of them. I don't know, but she was very rude to us. And I said, "You damn French." And then I got thrown out.
Frog.
But
Gray Wolf says, saw a good deal on surplus World War II French rifles. Never fired and dropped only once.
Well, the thing about that is they saved perhaps the most artistic city in Europe by doing that. So we still got all this stuff we can go over there and see, or it would have been totally destroyed if they hadn't done that. So, it was wimpy, but at the same time, you're like, they did save a lot of history by doing that.
Well, and the Germans ended up stealing the artwork anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And now they've got immigrants in there blowing up the old churches and stuff. So I guess it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, maybe that's why they don't like immigrants. Like 1,400 years of Muslim aggression.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it ain't the Americans that are doing it, and we pay to go see it.
Yeah. And we like everybody.
That's right. That's why we have open borders. We want everyone to come on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We're
David
all people
Williams
that the
is-
world rejected.
David Williams has stopped drawing like a while ago. Now he's in the chat.
Well, he started over again.
Yeah, but then he's taking a nap now.
He says I'm sleepy. Well, David, you didn't have to start over. You had a really nice piece going there, and then you bailed on it.
Yeah,
I need-
David, that means you're not going to be able to put this up for auction next week.
Wow.
Speaking of that, next week,
Yes, Gary. What's happening next week?
after the show, we're going to have an auction. And so several of the pieces that were created live on the air will be auctioned off.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Own a piece of history.
That's right. We should charge more because these were actually done on live TV. I mean, such as it is.
100 years from now, when they're watching these Graybeards videos, these things will be worth a lot of money.
That's right.
Just think if Norman Rockwell went on, the Jack Benny show and did a piece of artwork. Wouldn't it be worth more?
Mhm. Well, I don't know about Norman Rockwell.
Well, okay, maybe I'm giving us a little bit too much.
The incentive is already.
Imagine if
Al Parker.
imagine if Joan Rivers drew a cartoon. Just how valuable that would be today.
How much would it be worth?
That's true. Sequential treasures. How much time left, Gary?
Oh,
Aaron is
we're past
almost done. He's almost.
Okay,
done.
I just finished actually. So
Okay, he hasn't signed it yet, so that's 2 minutes.
I'm sort of the hourglass on the show. It's like when my sands go all the way through, that's when it's over. But Dan, you look like you're finished, aren't you? More or less.
More or less.
That's about all you can expect on this show. More or less. All right.
Terrible.
We'll be the judge of that. But first, let's take a close look at what I've accomplished today as I just signed it.
Wow.
Called Judge Death, ladies.
You were not messing around here.
That's right. This is ready to go right to 2000 AD. I'm going to send it over there right now. Look at the little cross hatching there in the helmet.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
There you go.
Look at
Decided
that.
to go all pen, in honor of our good friend Bolin, but I wanted to rough it up a little bit like Mike McMahon. So, a little bit of both in there.
That style, inking style, serves you well for this character.
I think so. Thank you, Gary. That's what I was trying to go for there was what would 2000 AD expect from me? And so there you go. Judge Death, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at what David's got for us. David, are you awake?
Yeah.
All right. Oops. Here we go. Now, why did you start over? That's really good. I mean, it's not as good as mine, but I mean, it's good.
Because I just thought it'd be cooler if it was action. I don't know. I'll probably finish both of them.
Okay, cool.
He's got to get that Kirby. When he doesn't have Kirby going, he's like, just goes, no, I can't. Got to do Kirby. But I like this one here. The nice pose, nice little figure action there. Very nice.
It's barring.
Or a Kirby.
The action one, you don't see that character doing much of that, so I think
true.
That's a good choice.
Very nice work, David. But now let's see what Joan Rivers has to offer us.
Ooh.
Oh, I am Delawless. He spelled his name right, too. Excellent.
That actually has your chin, Dan.
Yeah, that's the lawless chin.
It's the family chin.
The chin of the lawless one. All right. Okay, wait a minute. Stop right there. Do you guys agree with me? Is that not a Frazetta hand back there? Is right hand?
Yeah, totally.
It sure is.
That's a great piece.
Good
That-
job.
That's like second place if we were like keeping track.
It doesn't, honestly, it doesn't look as good as I saw it in my mind, but it needs some tweaking. It's not bad. It could be really good. It's pretty good.
How often though? How often do you do a piece and go, "Wow, that's exactly how I envisioned it"? I
do
never.
Well, I kind of, I don't know. It's more just a feeling, You get, I want to.
Yeah.
The feel I want. It's not really a vision for me.
Well, let's pull back so we can see the whole thing again. I am the lawless. I like it. Very nice. Look at the quality we are bringing you guys for free on this show. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
If you want to reward us, if you'd like to reward us for our efforts, hit the like and subscribe so we can get this channel growing to be a monstrous show. And that's really nice, Dan.
Are you going to put this up next week, Dan?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you should.
It's, you know what? Now I'm looking at it, it's not bad. Not bad.
The price is increasing.
It keeps falling on me.
Yeah. Crash 9 says this week only excellence. You know, I've got to say, this is like one of the rare weeks where we all sort of really did a pretty nice piece. Usually there's one guy that's like, oh yeah, that's really good, and everybody else is like, oh. But I think we hit it today.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I think it looks better actually when I look farther away from it, frankly. Yeah. When I walk down the street a couple blocks, it looks the best.
Oh, there we go. Freaka Boogie says all three look so great. Thank you, Freaka Boogie.
Well, thank you.
I don't know. Geek Avengers saying no feet. Are you emulating Liefeld? What is he talking about?
Whenever we can.
I don't
Which
know.
one?
Well,
It
none
could
of
be
it-
Dan's.
Yeah, but they were all like 3/4 shots or something like that. They're not. I mean, it's not like we drew full figure shots and then cut the feet off.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with 3/4 shots.
Yeah, geek. What are you doing? Jeez.
Besides, what's wrong with Liefeld? He's a great artist.
Well, he's a more successful artist than any of us, that's for sure. Sequential for $10. Thanks, James. He says, hey, folks, don't miss the debut of Sequential Art Showcase this Friday on my channel, his YouTube channel, with Dan Lawless.
That's right.
Subscribe and
The
don't
first
miss
one.
it. Look
You
at
couldn't
that.
shut me up.
Wow,
I was just
all
going.
right. Sequential Art Showcase. So you are the showcase, is what James is saying.
So anybody wants to, James would love to have you on his show for an interview, you guys. And he's a great interviewer, of course, and a major fan, a comic book fan.
Dan, are you going to show your work throughout your career? Or just recent stuff?
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
like this is your
What
wife?
James does is he has you bring in a piece that he has you on your show if he owns a piece of your artwork. So he'll show a piece that you own, or that he owns, and then you show a piece of yours and you talk about it. Which is, frankly, you think that's not enough. Boy, you just we filled an hour like so fast just with a couple of pieces of artwork.
Okay.
And of course you talk about your career and all that sort of, whatever. I think is pretty open with that, but
Very nice.
it's a neat experience.
Geek Avenger says, I'm teasing at Aaron Lepresti. Of course we know you're teasing, but so am I. Wizard Sleeves, Gary's favorite, says, well done, Beardos. Thanks for sharing, guys. Great stuff. Sean Allen, great show. Deserves more viewers. Gosh darn it, it sure does. There's Angela Chocolates Curry is joining us. There she is. Says, nice. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this show. There is no landing party tonight because Graham is out of town. I was toying with the idea of doing a Star Trek II appreciation stream, but I think I may just work instead. I've got to get that cover finished and colored so I can launch Wraith of God 3. Speaking of which, the early sign-up is active right now on Indiegogo. You'll find a link in the description of this video. I want you guys also to check out my website, aaronlepresti.com. Original artwork page finally got up, so there's I'm starting to list original artwork on there. So a lot of cool stuff to look out and check out. And in the store as well, prints, books, the whole 9 yards. So that, again, the link is in the description of this video. David Williams and EVS have, of course, Fearsome campaign right now. It's in demand on Indiegogo. You want to check that out?
And I'm also taking commissions.
And David is also taking commissions. How can they get in touch with you, David?
Either through X or on Instagram for DWAMS Art, DWAMSART.
Okay. Very cool. And of course, we want you all to go to Dan Lawless's YouTube channel where he has posted many art tutorials that you'll want to check out. They're really great. He wants you to like and subscribe that channel so he can grow and become a monster himself. So his link is in the description of this video. All the links are.
Hey, and also a reminder that John Malin's launching Godlike 2 this Saturday.
That's right. And Dan Lawless, of course, contributing something to the campaign, although he's not sure what.
Yeah,
It's a pinup.
If I finish.
Cover, who knows? As soon as he finishes it, right? Exactly. All righty, guys. That's all we got for today. Thank you once again for joining us here on Graybeard's Studio. We will be back next week with all new exciting stuff to draw, and maybe I'll ask somebody to come on and see if I can get a guest on just for the heck of it. So,
what time, Aaron, Wizard Sleeves is asking, what time is Wraith dropping on Saturday?
It's not. It's Malin's Godlike is dropping on Saturday. I'm still
the following week is right. You're the following week then.
Yeah, I'm gonna the week of the what is it, the 23rd or something, the 21st, something like that. So yeah. So I will keep you guys abreast, pardon the expression, of what's going on, so you will know. Anyway, thanks guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next week right here on Graybeard's Studio. Good night, everybody.